Hi guys, today we're going to learn how to read whole numbers properly. All right, so let's start with our place value chart right here. All right, the first digit to the left of the decimal point is the ones place. So I put a 5 here, so I would read this as 5, obviously. If I put a 2 here, the 2 is in the tens place, it's worth 20, and the 5 is in the ones place and it's worth 5, so it's worth 25. So I read it as 25. Now, if I put a 9 in the next place value position, that is the hundreds place. So I now read it as 925. I don't say 925 because you will learn soon that the and is a decimal point. A lot of adults even say that right. It is 2020, not 2020. It's 2020. So correctly read this as 925. All right, now your next place value is after the first group of 3. So we are into the thousands place. So if I put a 4 here, I now have 4,925. So what I like to do is I like to group things into groups of 3s. So I'm going to put my comma here because every 3 places you have to have a comma starting right to left. You put your comma every 3 places. And that comma, the first comma, always represents the thousands. So I like to write a little T under mine. Now I read it in little chunks, okay? Starting left to right like you would read when you were reading a book. This is a 4. And because I see that there's a comma there, I have to pause and say what place value it's in. So I have to say 4,000. Now I read this as a chunk. And that is 925. And I'm done. So let's add a couple more numbers here in practice. So let's say I put a 7 here. I would now have 74. Now I see that little thing, that little comma there, and I know that's thousands because I have it labeled a T. So it's 74,000. Read this next chunk, 925. Let's keep going. Let's put a 3 here. Here is a chunk. It's a group of 3. It could be a group of 2. It could be a group of 1. But I see that it's no more than 3. So I read this as 374. Because this comma's here, I have to say that place, 1,000, and then I read this next chunk of 3, 925. Okay? Now, I'm going to move out to the next group of 3, which is the millions place. So I need a comma here to show that. Okay, let's put a 6. Now, I'm going to label this comma M. So I put my T and then my M. Now I have, here's my first chunk, 6 million. Read this next group, 374,925. Okay. Let's go all the way out. Gonna go all the way out to the billions. So here's another comma because I have my next group of 3. And I'm gonna label that a B. So now every time I have a number written down, I can always label my commas if they're there, starting right to left, TMB. Okay? Now, how would I read this number? I'm going to read it in chunks. And every time I see a comma, I'm going to stop and make sure that I have a place value. So I would read it as 9 billion. Look at this number. Don't look at the rest of the number. Just look at this right here. This says 106. Then I put an M, so I know it's millions. Then I read the next chunk. Don't worry about the rest of the number. Just read this number. 374,000. Then don't look at the rest of the number. Just look at this, 925. And that is a simple way to read decimals, and we'll talk about writing them another time.